Kevin Durant suffered a calf strain last night. He's scheduled to have an MRI at some point today, and we'll update you if those results come in during the show. So, Stack, what was your initial reaction to the KD injury?
I got to keep it real. I thought it was the worst thing. I thought it was Achilles. I thought it was over. But the way he walked off, I've seen that so many times, that turn and look back like somebody kicked you.
Yeah.
It was scary, man. I hope he's good.
Yeah, no, I played in the game with when Kobe went down.
Right.
I was with the Warriors then, and it was.
Yeah.
It was the exact same thing. He asked Harrison Barnes, like, hey, did you kick me? Harrison Barnes was like, no. And then Kobe, you could just see his whole demeanor kind of change. And that's why when I was watching that, I tweeted right away, like, yo, prayers up for KD. But just, not to overreact, but it's like, just as athletes, we've seen this too many times, that exact same movement, turn around and look behind you, there's no one there, and then you go and grab your leg.
Yeah.
So still, man, prayers until we get the full report.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Reggie Miller certainly thought that too. Welcome into The Jump. I'm George Sedano, in for our fearless leader, Rachel Nichols, today. I'm joined by 2016 NBA champ Richard Jefferson, who you saw there, and 2003 NBA champ Steven Jackson.
Wow.
So let's get right to it, to the Warriors. Let's go. They managed to hold off the Rockets despite losing Kevin Durant to that calf strain we mentioned in the third quarter. Steve Kerr, very proud of his team for pulling out the win. Here's what he said after the game.
I don't know if you're a soccer fan, but Liverpool yesterday came out with just one of the great wins in soccer history. And after the match, their manager, Jurgen Klopp, said, the young kids in Liverpool are probably asleep by now, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it, but our boys are f***ing giants. That's what he said. And I know how he feels. So I apologize to my mom, who is probably watching, but our guys are f***ing giants. Like, that was an unbelievable victory tonight.
There you go. Kurt told The Athletic that KD is unlikely to play in Game 6. So, Richard, how confident are you that the Warriors can win this series without Durant?
Well, and I think that's what Steve was talking about. For them to get that victory and finish off that game, given the emotional weight that was kind of, hovering over them, I still feel confident they can get it. Had they lost that game and they would have to go into Houston without KD, I still feel confident they can get it, but it's definitely a lot more even.
Stack?
I definitely feel confident. I think the best thing about, it was a blessing in disguise, but I hate to see KD going down, was Steph and Klay had to make plays. They had to make big shots, and it got them going. That's what they needed. Steph plays better when KD's not on the court. He's way more explosive on offense, especially against Houston. So we'll get to see him really turn his game up and be the player we know he can be.
Yeah, they turned into the Warriors pre-KD, basically. Right. The ball movement was there. They played through Steph Curry. All of a sudden, things look different in that scenario. Now, they don't have the depth that they may have had back then, which I think could be the challenge here in this series or beyond if they get to that point.
Yeah.
But for one night, they looked a lot like the team we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and Looney was big.
Yeah.
Looney, those rebounds, those blocks, adding him in the lineup, because they normally play small the previous games with having Draymond play the center. Adding Looney, he was able to contest a lot of shots. They didn't get too many layups. He played big at the end of the game.
And Steph, he was quiet. He was literally quiet.
He was having a bad game.
He was having a bad game.
Yeah.
I'm watching the game, and you're like, something seemed off.
Yeah,
like his shots, just even his handle, he just didn't look sharp. All of a sudden, KD went out, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was impressive. I like that. I understand Steve Kerr's excitement.
Numbers are crazy.
Look at the on and off numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, you pointed it out, Stack. Like when KD's not on the floor, Steph kind of reverts back to being the guy we saw win 2 MVPs.
And that's why you see the point difference is crazy. 34 points to 20 is crazy. He has to play like that, especially against Houston, the way they're going to play at home. In order for him to get Game 6, he has to be that Steph.
So look, Kevin Durant is arguably the greatest player in the game. We're not trying to deny that, obviously. But again, he commands a certain amount of respect when he has the ball in his hands, and they slow the pace down some. The game changes in that that situation.
Let's not get too carried away. They are 1,000% better with Kevin Durant.
No doubt. Yeah, they're a dynasty because of Kevin Durant.
Yeah. The thing about it is that the Warriors are one of the few teams that have the ability to adjust how they play.
Right.
When they lost Boogie Cousins, they were like, all right, we'll just go all 5 smalls, and they're still the best team.
Sure.
They lose Kevin Durant, they can be like, all right, we're just going to switch to a more movement, fast-paced offense. That's why they are so good and so dominant, why they're a dynasty.
James Harden attempted just one shot in the final 8.5 minutes of Game 5. To be fair, Houston only scored 18 points in the final 6 minutes and 24 seconds, scoring the majority of their possessions there. Richard, What happened to Harden down the stretch last night?
I don't know, but basketball fans remember the Game 6 against San Antonio, no Kawhi, and James Harden wasn't even there.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I understand now because of Chris Paul, I think this team is better. I think James is a better player. But even still, that always rings in my head when I just look at, hey, James, we need you to show up. Right? We need you and all the threes from last series. So I don't know. I think he's going to be obviously more aggressive, but this was a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah.
If you look at this and you're like, oh, KD's not coming back. We got to get this. If that's the time for you to be overly aggressive, that was it. And he actually went the opposite direction.
Yeah, I expect him to be overly aggressive too, especially after coming back from 20 points. And you have other guys making plays. Even though he wasn't shooting, they were still scoring. But he still should have been aggressive because he could have made more plays. They still had a chance to win the game. But him not coming out and not showing that fire at the end of the game is always going to have that question mark if he really wants it.
Well, and that's been the question basically throughout his playoff career, right? Maybe not how much he wants it, but how he has come up short in some of these occasions.
Yeah, and it's tough because you're playing against the Warriors, but it was like that's why I went back to the no Kawhi, like one of the best offender probably in the NBA. You lose him, and the Spurs still went into Houston and dominated them. And that first half, he didn't take his first shot till like 5 minutes into the game. It just looked very, very odd. So it's just hard to say that. I think he'll come out and be aggressive, but you still don't like seeing those moments.
You got to take advantage of those.
You got to take advantage of those moments when you see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, something could be said that obviously the rest of the team stood up and played well in those scenarios because at some point you're going to need those guys to step up too. But this is basically why he's supposed to be the MVP, right?
And I don't want to hear any excuses. He has literally stood at the top of the key and ISO'd for
every game.
Quarters.
Yeah.
Right. For quarters. So now all of a sudden it's the last 6 minutes in a tight game and you're not doing what you've been doing all year long when you were averaging 30 points a game, when you were averaging 36 a night, when you were scoring 40 every single night. Now all of a sudden, in this most crucial time, you're just throwing the ball. You're not just ISOing and look at this. These are the things, right? Yeah, it's like, wait, what's going on? This is not even the basketball that you were playing all year long. So that to me is just a little alarming, but he's got plenty of time to fix it.
And I'm a big-time James Harden fan, but this is the reason why I would put Greek Freak as the MVP over him. You don't see no quit, no rest, no die in the Greek Freak, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah. Let's move on. The Celtics, speaking of which, got eliminated by the Greek Freak last night in the playoffs, which leads us to our friend Amino Hassan and his Petito game. Let's take a listen.
Ain't coming through that door.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door. Robert Parrish is not walking through that door. And if you expect them to walk through the door, they're going to be gray and old.
That's right. It's our salute to every team that got eliminated in the playoffs. And this time, it was the Boston Celtics' turn. And this is what I like to call Pitino game a la mode, because this was the original Pitino game. That's right, Rick Pitino telling us that Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale ain't walking through that door. So let's take a look. Who else ain't walking through that door for Boston? Eddie House, my guy, Arizona State alum, he ain't walking through that door. Xavier McDaniel, the X-Man, he ain't picking a fight through that door. Rick Fox, a.k.a. Chick Deegan from He Got Game, ain't walking through that door. D. Brown, my homie, I got him on the shirt right here, slam dunk champion, not walking through that door. Dominique Wilkins, oh, I remember that summer when everyone thought he was gonna go to the Knicks, but he ended up signing with the Celtics. He's not walking through that door. How could I forget our guy, the truth, Paul Pierce. He said the series was over after game one. He just didn't have the team right. Too bad he ain't walking through that door.
All right, great stuff as always from Amin. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Let's get back to Kyrie now, or to the Celtics. Kyrie's been taking a lot of heat for his role as the leader of this team that failed to meet expectations, guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Marcus Smart dismissed that notion, though, today. Take a listen.
That's bull. I mean, now one of us on this team knows what Kyrie's been through. Probably a few amount of people in this world know what Kyrie goes through. You know, it was hard for him as well. You know, he was forced into a situation where it was business over, you know, the friendships, where he had to come into a situation knowing that, you know, this is a group of guys that had something going before, you know, I come here. How will I fit in? Like, he didn't want to disrupt that, you know, and that says a lot, you know, for, this is Kyrie Irving we're talking about. He's talking about coming in and disrupting, you know, us. And, you know, we took him in with full arms and, you know, we tried to understand, but like I said, we never really understood because we're not in his shoes. There's 4 other guys out there, there's 12, 13 other guys on the team coaches and everything. So to just blame it on one guy.
All right, Stack, so this isn't BS or keep it real or 100, but who's the most to blame? Is it BS or who's most to blame here, I guess?
All of them.
Yeah.
The whole team is to blame. Like, the team that this same team made it to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie. But some type of way, the way they played and how they ended their season, you can tell that everybody had their own agendas. They were not playing for each other. They wasn't on the same page. You can tell that good teams that's playing right now, they bond on and off the court. You can see easily that they weren't playing for each other and they're not friends on and off the court. A lot of this was I'm going to go out and get mine and see if you can get yours or follow me as I go. It wasn't we go together. And that's why they're home right now.
And I'm going to talk about one person who is not to blame, and I'm going to say Gordon Hayward. And this is why. That was a horrific injury. Did we all forget? How long did it take Paul George to get back to being Paul George? So in his first year back, and everyone's like, oh, well, he should be coming off the bench, or well, he's making a lot of money. It's like, yo, wait a second. This man had one of the worst injuries in NBA history, worked his way back. Now, next year, I want to see an improvement from Gordon Hayward. There's steps back. But I think really Brad Stevens, he should take a little bit of the blame and most of the blame, because I think Kyrie is not he's a variable, right? Having played with Kyrie, having seen him in multiple situations, he's a variable. He's a little up and down. He competes. But look, Kawhi did the exact same thing. Kawhi had to go to Toronto and, hey, guys, I'm here. Kawhi's, not the most dynamic of personalities, but he's like, hey, I'm going to come here and I'm going to do my best and lead you guys the best way I know how. And Kyrie has just been a little bit up and down, but Stevens, he didn't do a great job managing this whole team.
Well, I agree with what you guys are saying. I do think the onus has to be on Kyrie. Kyrie's the guy that came in and he wanted to be the leader. He wanted his own team, right? And you got to lead by example. There's a certain amount of responsibility when you're the guy, right? When you've played with some great players, both of you here, some Hall of Fame type players, and the team goes as they go. And when I was in Boston a couple of times, you'd hear things like, oh, he's moody. He hasn't talked to his teammates or anyone here in like a couple of weeks. Like, you can't be that guy if you want to be the leader of the team.
This is the thing. If you want to talk about performance, 100% Kyrie's performance. Like, Kyrie's performance in this postseason was bad.
Yeah.
It was tragic. He'll be the first one to say it. And so we want to dissect his work. Oh, I should have taken 30. But that's fine, all of that. But everyone saw this coming, right? Even after game one, and I was like, hey, Milwaukee is going to get better, even over the postseason and all over the season. We're like, Milwaukee's that team. But everyone kind of saw this coming. We wanted to see what the Boston Celtics were going to do under distress, and they just weren't very good. So, understand that they were what, the 5th seed, 4th seed?
But you don't think that you talked about, Stack, about just kind of guys playing for themselves and being selfish. You don't think that's partially on Kyrie kind of playing that way?
Well, no, because at the end of the day, they're all grown men and they all have their own way of approaching the game. Just because I have a teammate that's real selfish, that shouldn't make me not play the game the right way and not approach the game the right way. So I think, I don't think Kyrie is selfish. I think Kyrie he put too much pressure on himself with going in and feeling like he had to lead by shooting all these shots and scoring every time, but there's different ways to lead. Tim Duncan led in different ways. He didn't lead us in scoring every night, but he made the right plays. He played hard. He played well enough for it to be contagious through the whole team.
Yeah.
That's what's leading. Leading is not just scoring all the points every night, and I think he had that misunderstood.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree.
All right. Coming up next, we'll dissect the Lakers debacle, pretty much from every angle.
Oh, jeez.
With too many questions, okay? That's the new segment coming up. Will the Lakers regret not giving Ty Lue a 5-year deal? Did Magic see this coming? How should LeBron feel? All that and more next. But first, here's a distant replay from this date in 1990. The GOAT, Michael Jordan.
We got to come up with a name for the Lakers saga.
Oh, look at this.
You're Ernest.
He made it look easy, too.
Okay, no.
I think we would have played something better for MJ. That was kind of weak.
He's got too many highlights.
Yeah, he got too many good ones. That's the West part of the weakest ones I'm saying.
We go through our catalog and find a shot like that.
I've probably done that.